Yep, look at where I am. A beautiful day, and I might as well be outside while I'm painting an incredible RC. Now, a lot of you guys know that I'm building the Trailfinder 2 from RC4WD Drive. Now is a perfect opportunity for me to come outside, get a little sunshine, and as well put a first few spins on the body that I'm putting together here. So I've never actually done a tutorial on painting a hard shell like this before, so I figured this was a good opportunity. Plus, I've never really modified these before, and I'm not going into heavy modifications, but I would like to add some rust, a couple of dents, maybe a few holes in it, to make it look, you know, all of my trucks are shiny and new. And what I'd really like to do is kind of have an older style, beat up, Mojave style Toyota, right? So I'm going to try to do a few things different. Again, I'm totally new to this, so you'll be discovering this RC adventure along with me. I'm going to do the best I can to film it with the multiple angles I've learned over the years, trying to get you close, get you in there, and really try to experiment with some things that I think will work. So I hope you watch the film, I hope you enjoy, and I say we might as well get this party started. So here we go. One of the things about building a kit is you always have to be prepared to take plastic pieces out of the mold sheet that it comes in. Now, of course, you're going to need a sharp razor blade, and if you're young and you're not used to using these, you know, I had a viewer write in the other day saying, "Medic, we're concerned that you're cutting towards your thumb, and the young folks out there need to know to be careful." And of course, I've always considered that. Of course, if you're young, make sure birds are green in the background. Make sure if you're young that you got someone watching over you that can do this. There we go, nice and clear. Got to clean those burrs off as best as possible. Here I've been using cutting tools for 20 years at least. All right, so here, not too brittle. It's actually fairly strong, which is a good indication when this RC actually takes an extreme roll that we're going to have a little bit of longevity out of it, because you know darn well on RC adventures it's going to be rolling down a hill somewhere. And you know, clean up those burrs as best as possible, get those pieces laid out. Don't need the mold anymore, toss that off to the side. So I've got a dash piece. This is where the steering wheel is actually going to come out of with the front dash. Different decals for the front of that, as well as it looks like the front grille piece here with the headlights, of course. Gonna have to get a light kit. This truck needs a light kit. This here, it looks like I have to cut out the center piece, no problem at all. But I'll do that off camera, make sure to take out that cross piece, and I could tidy up the rim on the back plate of the cab here. Now I'm going to clean off the table. You can see it's a fairly white backdrop right now. This is just a piece of plastic I have laying around, corrugated plastic board. I'm going to go ahead and, well, let's just move on. Either I could look at the rust or I could just paint everything, but I'd like to look at the rust holes first and then move forward with the priming. That's a great idea. Alright, so now we have both segments laid out, the parts that I want to have rust. Yes, I have the windshield post in here. I haven't cut it out yet. This will actually be removable. Not a big deal as I'm looking at the actual body for where I want the rust holes to appear. You know, I noticed the hood lines on either side. I've got the windshield that's going to have to fit in there. The windshield's actually just a plastic insert that goes in from the back of the vehicle. So I can also notice that the doors can be cut out here. If I wanted to have a servo open and close, yes, I know that would be cool, but I want to make sure to build this stock first before I do any mods. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of look along here. I'm going to look on the box, okay, along the wheel wells. I know that rust holes in 1:1 scale rigs, that's where they like to appear, especially along back here and into the tailgate area. So, enough talk. I've done a lot of studying online, and I've kind of checked out different photos that show where rust marks appear on this vehicle. The answer is anywhere. It just depends on what part of the world that it's actually in. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take, I can either use, this is a double-sided felt, okay? I can either use the fine tip or the larger one on the end. I'll probably take this one here, and let's just kind of mark it out together. So I know that I don't want my RC tires to be cut. Like I could cut holes out of the side here, but instead what I'd want is to cut holes along the top. And the reason I'm even doing this to begin with a felt marker, is so I can get more of a precise look at the hole that I want. So when I'm using a cutting tool like the Dremel, I have different cutting tips on the end that I can go ahead and start slicing this into. Okay, I'll go ahead, there's good. I still want to remember to maintain structural integrity of the front wheel well, especially if it crashes, correct? So I'm going to go in here, I'm going to actually remove a portion of this right here. Cool, hey, I think this is kind of fun. And I'll just put a small hole in there and right up at the front here. We'll see it here, kind of like that. So front wheel well, we'll go ahead. What I'm going to do is go ahead and mark out the vehicle where I think it should be cut, and then we'll just move straight to cutting because I know you guys, the RC addicts out there watching, get the idea. So let's move forward. Bingo, bango, bongo, check it out. All the way through. Just the magic of TV like that, hey? So I'm going to have some holes in the actual drop box because the RC four-wheel drive Trail Finder 2 comes with a drop box already, which is very cool. Along the back, A, this is going to let out water, and B, it's going to give me that realism. Now, yes, I know it's already painted yellow. You could leave it yellow if you wanted a yellow truck, but indeed, I would actually like to paint mine that red color. So with the rust spots, you know, even though I said I don't want the wheel to rub and pop, it won't, because I'm not going to have super wheel speed, but we're still going to get some of that parts of the truck to be removed, hey? Where it looks like rust is set in. Also, I've written the word scuff in a few areas because I want to use a wire brush to kind of scuff up that area with the Dremel or the cutting tool over here. So when I put the primer on, even though it could start to fill those little ridges, I could still get a bit of patina there, okay? So let's go ahead and start changing out and drilling where we need to go. I need to change out the front bit. Oh, I've got a Dremel cutting tool here. A whole kit actually of different cutting blades here. I'm just a little distracted because I wanted to get out this actual brush. Looks like a chimney sweep brush. Anybody have a micro chimney I could clean? So I'm going to go ahead and move apart these bristles that are on here. Okay. This is just a generic cutting tool set that I got from pmhobbycraft.ca. You can find one at your local hobby store or hardware store, I'm sure. So there, you can see I've kind of spread out the bristles. That way it'll give me a cleaner scuff mark when I'm going in there, more of a wide bristle. And of course, the old drill. This is where I'm going to start. Now, I won't worry about the Dremel. I won't worry about the actual wire brush. Instead, even though I fade away, I'm going to use these old dirty pieces of wood. Why am I going to do that? It's going to give me the ability to actually mount these pieces of hard plastic, okay, right here, where I'm going to be able to drill right into the frame, because you want to have a solid background, right? That makes sense. When you're drilling anything, you want to make sure to have a solid background. Now, this part I could actually cut with the tool right now. Since I'm already wearing sunglasses that are protective glasses and I already have a diamond bit here, I might as well go ahead and show what it's like to cut through. Now, you could use a regular top bit. This piece here actually cost me about 34 bucks. I know, it's crazy. But this has lasted me a year. I haven't broken it. It's incredibly powerful. Who knows, maybe now on video I will, just because I put it out to the universe. In the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and cut along this rough line and to cut out a piece for you guys right here on camera. Okay, so there's a very raw, rough cut of what the Dremel tool will do. Kind of slash melt cut right through what we're doing there. Take my sharp razor, just kind of clean it up away from my finger. Okay, there we go. Now, the beauty of about a cut like this is you can take one of these other bits that I have. It's more of a grinding bit. Okay. It's a very fine bit. It takes time to use, no problem. I'm sure there's better bits out there, but this is what I have. Check that out. Okay. The birds are enjoying the show in the background if you can hear them. This is a great place. Okay, so I'll kind of shave in there so I can make divots. We might as well show you right now. Let's see here. Kind of change out the bit. Okay, so I'm going to make this back area more of a dimpled type of body. Okay, so what I've done automatically, like without you guys having to worry about having to add on extra epoxy or anything like that, is by using the Dremel, not only has it kind of melted it into place, I'll just take off the extra there, but it's really given it some of that contoured look. Can you see that properly? There you go. So it's given it that bubbled rust effect, okay? Perfect. I like the way that looks. So I'll go ahead and on this top one here, you'll see that it's more of a hole, right? So I'm going to want to work that out. I could use the cutting tool. I really could. There is an individual hole on the side. There you go. You can see it more in the light. So I'll use this drill at the same time. It's on a low setting, so I'm going to turn the torque a little bit higher so it doesn't get stuck. The clutch isn't working overtime. Sharp drill bit. Just kind of start off slow, right? Get that hole seated properly. There, now it's open, I don't mind. You can even wiggle it around a little. Perfect. I could have kept going right into this other area. I don't want to, but I could. Okay, I didn't go into it, but it did give me more of an elongated hole on the side. You can see it's not just a straight in hole, it's got more of a diagonal slant to it. So let's take that cutting tool again, this, you know, more of a, it's not sand or stone, I'm not quite sure what it is. Sandpaper stone? I know that's not a word. There we go. There we go, that's better. Because I'm looking for more of that ulcered rust effect, right? I want it to look like it's been eaten away. So that's good. I got a little bit of an effect on there where I actually have some plastic peeling off. That's fine. I don't mind actually leaving that in the painting process because it'll look authentic. Okay, especially for the fun you can have with imagination. That's where you got to start. Now hold on a second here. I'm going to try a little experiment. Like I said, I haven't done this before, so let's try something. Before I actually cut, I'm going to scuff the area around it. Let's see how this scuffing tool actually works. Hold on. Glad I'm wearing safety glasses here. Beautiful. Oh man, I had to keep going with that before I even showed you guys. Check that out. Okay, even though it's giving me a bit of color from the felt, that's okay. That's a learning thing that can be removed right there. It scuffed it all up. It almost looks like there's Bondo there when there isn't. Okay, that gives me a great idea because one of the things I went out and purchased, even though it was red, was checked a cheap bottle of primer that was kind of the red color. It was like the red brown, you know. So I figured I could actually make it look like there was primer there with some cheap how much was this? This was like $6. Yeah, value primer. You know that's going to be quality. Perfect for my scale build and the everyday backyard mechanic. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to make some of these cuts in here and then we'll move on from there. Alright, so here we go. Here is the sandpaper that I'm going to be using right now. Now, I could have used a thicker grit, but I'm actually not too worried. This is P1500 from Tamiya, or Tamiya, wherever you guys are from, how you pronounce it. This sandpaper is fantastic. It's almost like it's non-existent. Let's have a look at what we can do on the outside here. Though I'm going to go ahead and put primer on it, though I've already scuffed up, you can see I've got a little bit of green on the outside. I want to make sure that the whole body has been scuffed. Now, you can put this around a brick, you can go ahead and put this around a piece of wood. Whatever you need to do to scuff this up, to make it easy for you, feel free to do. That's the bonus of being your hobby. What I'm doing here is just scuffing the outside of the body so it's just a little bit rough so I can actually, oops, got a little bit of a wind blowing today. So we can have this outside piece just kind of smoothed out a little bit, but the smooth piece roughed up a little bit, if you can kind of understand. Because this smooth part, I want that primer to stick to so it's 100% adhered to the plastic. Same on this side. I'm going to go ahead. So I don't want to knock off too much of the ulcerated plastic like I had mentioned for the rust look, but I still need it to be fairly stickable for the primer. So roughing that up. Now remember, a lot of the things that people forget when they're painting a hard body like this, you don't have to do this with Lexan bodies, but when you're doing a scale build, you gotta do the inside. You gotta do this in a dark color or the same color as your body. That way, so when you look inside through the clear windshield, everything still has the proper shadow and everything's covered, if that's what you're going for. Agreed, this time I will be, but this won't have the abuse on the inside that this will with the branches and sticks and rocks. So I'm gonna go ahead and rough up the outside all the way around. Alright my friends, one of my favorite parts. I've already taken this in, I've washed it front to back. I've also sanded it back to front, okay? Both sides have been done. I didn't have to worry about sanding the inside of the box so much because I'm not worried about it scraping. I can always spray paint it and do touch-ups then. I have all the pieces that need to actually be primed for this, and even though I still have some felt marker on the outside, it's very low priority for me. Now, some of you may want to use some sort of paint mask like a Parma and get in there and really kind of paint over those areas that you want to keep clear, but I'm not too concerned about that. I'm going to go ahead and prime all of this. I'm going to do it with 2 different colors of primer though. Okay, like I mentioned, I had this one here, and I also had this one here for a fleet coating. As it says, this is for more heavy duty stuff. This will be my underground foundation. What do you think? The holes turned out pretty good. Hey, scuff marks, not too bad. Hey, not too bad. Looking all the way around. I like that. good start. This is a good thing for me to attempt doing on camera for you guys, even though I've never done it before. This is the way I would think it would be done. And I'm sure if you guys check out there's a whole lot of amazing fabricators that you can check into. But here's the way I'm going, kind of low budget, just using what I have. What was this? $6 I said. This was 14. You know, a Dremel, a paint wheel. What are you into it for a good paint job? Maybe $100. You know, so that is expensive, but I figured low end, you know, see what we could do with what we had. Completely stock, 100%, my friends. You didn't have to do anything except get supplies. So let's move forward. I've already got this plastic corrugated flat board laid down. I'm going to go ahead and prime right on top of this. I'll show you what I mean. Okay, my friends, this is one of the areas that people really rush into and don't take much care because they don't think it's going to be seen when they're filming it. But that's not the case. Make sure to shake up your primer. If you take your time in these areas, this is where it will really make the difference. So I've laid down a bit of parchment paper, not a big deal, so it's a barrier between, and I can still have a white workspace. But when I start painting, I don't actually start painting right on it, right? Like I don't want to use a spray can right on the plastic because it's going to make a big puddle and drip. So I'll make sure it works first. A lot of people will want to do that upside down, right, to make sure it can get a full flow through. I don't actually care. So I'm just going to do a couple of light sprays. I don't ever start right on the actual plastic itself. I'll start off to the side. Okay, now a lot of times people will get anxious here and they'll just want to jump right into blasting the whole thing, but that's the secret right there, is not to do that. So I'm going to turn it around because I want to make sure to get as many angles as possible without making the paint build up. Right now I'm in the sun, it's got a lot of heat and it's getting a chance to dry. So short bursts. And again, I'm just going to change the angle. You can see it drying. You can see where it's actually drying. And good. Okay, so I'll change this around. The sun is a great place to do this. Gives it a chance to really dry out quickly. And in smooth coats like that, it really builds up the strength and the adherence against the plastic. Alright, so with the accessories painted, I've laid out the two portions of the body that really need my special attention right now. And really, I have to remember that not only am I priming this, but I have to make it look more aged, a little bit older than what it is. Now with the rust holes, they have a lot of divots in there. I've got a lot of scratch marks on here from the rollover, right, from the Dremel tool I was using. I'm going to want to use this old primer. Look at that color, okay, more of an orange / rust. Now, also, I could go ahead and use the red from the Perfect Match, the auto detailing spray that I'm going to use in the back, and I'm definitely going to be using the primer. But with this darker primer in the rust areas, it's going to give kind of a two-tone to that red. It's going to look like it was repaired, it's going to look like it wasn't quite right, and that way, my friends, I'm going to do my best to make the scale appearance. Lots of neat little things that I'm trying to discover here. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the results are. Let's go ahead and prime up these areas that more or less would be rusted. I already primed the can off to the side before I started shooting. Not bad. This way, if it gets scratched, it's still going to have that look of primer on the inside. Airbrushing is also something I'd love to look into. I have been pricing that out, but that's, you know, for most folks that are out watching these videos right now, they don't have the ability to get an airbrush. You know, people that are super skilled with that stuff have practice and have an airbrush in their house, and I certainly am going to get one of those. But, you know, for the average user, a spray bomb can like that, not too shabby at all. Now, look at that. Magic of TV land. I love special effects where it's just stop and go animation. Look at this. Inside of the cab, I went ahead and painted it off camera. Just a very light coating, darker in some areas, okay? Also, all the way around the outside. I could have used plastic gloves or like surgeon's gloves. Yes, paint is toxic, so kids, please be aware. Call me old school and foolish, but here I've got all the scrape marks and all that kind of buffed in there. You can see the holes in the fender. That looks pretty darn good, actually. I'm happy with this. For being somebody that's never done it before, it just kind of made sense, right? Scratch marks where it rolled over. I didn't do the whole thing in orange because I want that red to really shine through in the areas that I want, but I still needed a base color on the bottom. I'm still going to be using the silver primer on the back. That's why I have these brighter spots, but check out inside there, hey? Look at that. If I can get the sun on that properly, isn't that nice, hey? Looks pretty darn cool. So I'm going to go ahead, let that dry in the sun for about 15 minutes, let it really set up, and then I'll go ahead and start painting with the gray primer so I can get ready for the base coat. Yes, they look fantastic, but you know what I got to do? Keep on sanding. Now that I've got that on there, I want to make the scratched look of Bondo. You know what I'm saying? You got to get in there. I want that gray primer to actually stick, and now that it's baked in the sun for a little while, I'm going to want it to be nice and scuffed up, and then I have to wash it again. So here we go, looking nice and smooth. The sun takes over there for a minute, gives us a clearer look. Let's have a look and take advantage of that sunlight there. Yeah, a little bit of shadow makes the rust look amazing. Go ahead, scuff that up. Okay, starting to coat it on a little bit. Don't want it to be too thick though, right? We want to make sure that we maintain our rust look when it gets scratched. So just short little bursts along the side, along the wheel well. Really, and I want to kind of cover up the yellow with the silver. Beautiful. Looking nice. I like the look of that. Little on the inside, little on the outside. Yeah, but we can still see the red coming through. Not too much. This will also look like a metal, right? This will look like the metal of the truck underneath that rust. Beautiful. Looks good. Melted in right along there. Just a little bit. See, now you can start to see on the sideways angle that the rust will start to show through a little bit. Okay. Same with there. That looks like a nice spot on the hood. You can see that at all. Yeah. And on this side, looking good. Not a lot of yellow. Inside, I don't mind doing a little bit of a coat just to get her done. Doesn't have to be too much. Kind of gives a backing to the paint that we have later with the primer. Beautiful. I really like the look of that. Even if a little bit of yellow shines through, kind of looks like the truck has been painted a few times. There we go. That piece is done. Let's move on to the cab where it's had a little bit of overspray, or pardon me, the back box. Nice. Not too much. Beautiful. I like the way that looks. Okay, it's running a little bit. That's my bad right there. Look at that. I didn't leave enough time in between sprays. Try to even it out a little. Not bad. It's going to run, but again, it's a trail truck, so I'm not too concerned. Look at that one. That's what I was trying to avoid. That's a bad job right there. Just a drip. Can you see that? Yeah, you can. Let's see if we can kind of guide it down the edge. Make it look a little more intentional, even though this is on camera. Doesn't matter. It's all about the fun. Perfect. There we go. Inside is where we need it to be so we don't have that yellow shine through. Beautiful. And I'll just flip it forward. Nice, I like that. I'm actually going to leave the back box unprimed. Like there's a few spots that are primed. Let's look at that top spot right there. There we go. That's going to give it a real natural look, right? If you can see inside there, more of a natural look to the rust on the inside. So I'm happy to have that. There we go. Let's let that dry and sit around for a few minutes. And I'll go wash and scrub the paint off my hands. All right, so it's been about, well, at least 15 minutes since I actually sprayed this last. The sun is coming and going, you know, we'll see it again, I'm sure, but check that out, hey? It looks like a Bondo job that's been done. I should have done a few of the back strokes as well here to get that going the other way. But really, if this had slid down a hill, then we'd have those marks up front, plus the rust. So now that I have a base coat underneath, I know you guys will be like, what are you doing? But really what we have to do is flip this upside down and actually do the undercoat first. The reason why is when we actually spray the top coat, we don't want it to be going inside the area here, right? A lot of us don't think of that right in the beginning, but we want to make sure to have the black coat underneath. Hence why I had the gray primer under there. Plus the black can kind of come up where the rust areas are and make it a little bit more authentic. So I'll go get my rust paint. Color black. So here we go with the Tamiya PS5 black. Straight up, here we go, light sprays just like before. A little bit of wind doesn't help. Nice sheen to it. It'll get muddy anyway, so don't be too concerned. I'm just trying to get the back shadow when I'm actually filming the RC to make sure that the inside of the truck is as black as possible. Overspray is not a concern right now. Just get those rust holes covered in black. Looking good, looking good. Here we go, I'm just going to quickly turn it around. Get the other side. It may not look even in the camera, but with the overspray that we've had, it's just a light effect. We're getting very close. You can see everything is actually coming along nicely. Now we have a lot of the black actually starting to come through, even though we have a shadow here. Let's see if I can show you. Perfect. Black came through. If you need to do any kind of touch-ups, make sure to do light touch-ups, like along the edges, where it would be starting to rot, right, with time. So there we go. Same on this side. Pretty good already. Just along the edges, along the front, and along the inside fender flares. There we go. Done. And not bad. I know it's kind of dark because the sun has shifted, but we can see there, not too bad at all. I think now it's basically a good time to move on to the actual Toyota red. Let's see here. Like I showed earlier, Duplicolor, perfect match, premium automotive paint. Make sure to shake it up. Again, same thing. Make sure it's on its way out. And we'll do it just with the sun so you guys can see it. I do it normally a little bit different, but so you guys can see it on the front. Let's go with right on the front. Make sure you have no dust or anything on there that you want permanent, right? It's all done. I could go ahead and sand this down again, but really for my needs, it's not anything I need to worry about. Gorgeous. Okay, turning it around a little bit. Well, actually, let's do the roof. Looking good, looking good. It's almost like magic, isn't it? Rust, scratches, nice paint. This is the area where you don't want the paint to run. You really want this to be a smooth application. It's a nice sheen that we're getting there. There's so many things I could have done, but to keep it simple for you guys, to understand how we can do this at home, I think this was a really good start. Turn it around. I don't mind if there's overspray on the inside. Now remember, this is just, it's not the final coat as I mentioned earlier. That was just a slip of the old tongue, but I can tell you that this will be the first coat because I'm going to want to get in there with a paintbrush to finish up the actual detailing with a paintbrush and enamel kit. There we go. Concentrating, guys, sorry. Want to make sure to do this right so you guys get a general idea of how I would do it. Not bad, looking pretty good. Remember, all angles. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and keep on painting, but my friends, what do you think? That's a pretty good color for the Mojave. Looks nice and scratched up. I'm going to do more detailing in the very next video where I'll actually use the back paint wheel. Go in, actually use the oranges and the blacks and the greens and get in there and really make that rust effect where we're seeing an area in the back and all over the truck where it's been worn out, hey? I think that's going to be one of the key secrets to making an old 4x4 in your RC. There you go, look at that. That looks pretty darn good actually. So there you go. I hope you've enjoyed this video. This will be Paint Tutorial A, RC 4-wheel drive Trail Finder 2. And really this is just the beginning, believe it or not. Even though we've watched a very long video, we've gone ahead and sprayed it all down. This is just the beginning, my friends. So look forward to Paint Tutorial B. I hope this has helped you straight across the board with Lexan and hard-bodied RCs. Take your time, really get in there, really try to refine the mist of your spray paint. Use the proper paints. This is this is an automotive paint. I figured I'd be just a little bit unique. Not saying I'm the first at all to use it, but I'm gonna go ahead and try it out and see how it is. I'm gonna let this set nice and firm, let it strengthen up with the multiple layers, and then I'll go ahead and continue, give it a nice second coating, and I know that this is going to turn out to be one of my all-time favorite trucks. Hey, can you check that out? Look at that. Ingenuity. RC, if you guys have a scale truck video that you want to post above, or pardon me, below this video, I'd be happy to approve it. I'll just put it on automatic approval so you guys can go ahead and share your own RC journeys that are out there. Okay, until next time, guys, there you go. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope to see you at the RCSparks Studio forums. See you later.